My name is Jonathan James Lee. I am tetraplegic as a result of a serious car accident in August of 1994. Dad was a great sportsman. He brought me up with sport, and had, as a result, have played sport at all levels, quite a high level as a teenager. I had an under 16 Warwickshire captaincy, which I was very proud of. Missed the England rugby team, hockey team rather, by one place, which stung a bit, but still, as a young man, I found that tough. However, sport's been my life. I've loved my sport all the way through my life, and although I missed out on the England team by one place as a younger man, 16, I ended up playing England for my GB as a wheelchair user. So after my accident, I ended up playing at a higher level than I ever did as an able-bodied person. So that was something my dad was very proud of. I've been married. I've had two boys, two beautiful boys who are now in their mid-20s, and living their own lives and doing incredibly well. Prior to the accident, I was in antiques. I was an antiques dealer, and set up a small antiques business with my ex-wife, which we maintained for about 3 or 4 years until the time of my injury. I've had a myriad of many different providers, some good, some bad, but I think I can honestly say, since being first introduced to CLCA, which was an abrupt introduction after the previous provider was essentially shut down by the CQC, and CLCA came on board at a moment's notice and rapidly took over. In my case, a safeguarding situation, and from the minute they started, I was thoroughly impressed is an understatement. My first introduction to even meeting Cherry and Kathy was to find two ebullient, bouncy women to come into my home and announce that they were going to shower me, get me up and into a chair, which hadn't happened for quite a few weeks. I'd been left alone in a bed, being hoisted and lifted up, literally lifted into a chair, but I was lifted out of what was essentially a dark and sad and very depressed state into one of happiness. And it was that initial introduction that I had found has been the case all the way continuing on with the company. The team in the office differ from other agencies in the sense that I think it felt like a family. It's a family environment where you've got Julianne, you've got Paul, you've got Brian, the lead nurse from Cherry at the very top. They are, all accessible. I have a condition called autonomic dysreflexia, which is unique to spinal injuries, which is potentially life-threatening. Cherry's reaction to that was to have training within a couple of weeks. Now that hadn't even happened. I hadn't had any training at all for 3.5 years from the previous agency, and that gives you the kind of context of how different and how much effort they put into details, the professionalism, the medical side is covered. We hadn't even a care plan in the place with the previous agency. These guys, the paperwork is extensively that thick, and it is to every level of the CHC's sort of guidelines. So I think that emphasises the lengths that CLCA go through to underline every aspect of the care. The fact that you've got an ITU trained nurse at the very top of the train. The lead nurse specialist in the form of Kathy is a not just fully trained nurse, but she's actively in hospitals and currently keeping up to current trends helps massively. So yeah, you haven't got a corporate sort of viewpoint on, we've got shareholders to make happy, or but you've got a professional medical outfit that have across the board every angle covered. A team of tightly knit, experienced. They've got the training that they're given, so they know about my condition. They know about my spinal injury. They have a unique access to that training. I have 2 male carers who I've been introduced to and give me a broader aspect to my care, which allows me to socialise, get out into the community. I'm given the autonomy to be able to go out there, fulfil my dreams. I mean, my aspirations to go back to college, aspirations to go back to getting into sport again. I've started to play very poor tennis. I mean, trying to bash a ball over a net in the pouring rain at the Nottingham or National Centre was an experience, but it was one that was accessible thanks to the efforts of one of my team members that went to the lengths of researching it all, doing the hard work for me and allowing me to then just be able to travel up and experience that event. For me, CLCA from the minute they came into my life had been all about giving me a sense of being a part of being brought into a family, if that makes sense, instead of joining another company, faceless ex-company. I was being joining a family of not just individuals but a team, and from Cherry right at the top, with coming into my life with gloves and aprons on with Kathy. And I posed the question at one point to Cherry, what does the acronym actually stand for, CLCA? And the answer came back, well, of course, Jonathan, it stands for care, love and commitment always. At which point I went, yeah, of course.